First contact and invasion. The Meridian fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, 27 obsidian vessels arrayed in a geometric pattern that would have been beautiful if not for their devastating purpose. Admiral Tezak stood on the command deck of the flagship Inevitable Conquest, his 4 arms clasped behind his back as he studied the blue-green planet now filling the main view screen. Earth, another primitive world to add to the Meridian Collective's ever-expanding empire. Status report, Tezak demanded, his voice resonating through his breathing apparatus. Commander Vex approached, her exoskeleton clicking against the polished floor. As expected, Admiral. Class 3 civilization. Pre-FTL capabilities. Basic satellite networks. Primitive nuclear weapons. No unified planetary government. Any detection of our arrival. Their rudimentary sensors have registered our presence. Their global communications are chaotic. Vex's mouthparts twitched in what passed for amusement among their kind. They appear to be arguing among themselves about what we might be. Tezak nodded. Typical behavior. Have they attempted communication? Multiple attempts, various frequencies and mathematical sequences. Nothing sophisticated. And their defenses. Mobilizing what they have. Missiles, fighter aircraft, ground forces. Nothing that poses any threat to our technology. Tezak allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The Meridian Collective had conquered over 300 worlds across 12 star systems. Most fell without significant resistance. Some required more persuasive measures, but all eventually accepted their place within the collective. Prepare the first wave. Standard protocol. Disable their communications, neutralize military capabilities, identify leadership structures. And the population, Admiral. Tezak studied the planet again. 8 billion sentient beings, according to their scans. Potential workers, all. Minimal casualties. The collective prefers integration over elimination. It will be done, Admiral. As Commander Vex departed to issue orders, Tezak remained at the view screen. Another world. Another victory. The cycle continued. Dr. Maya Vega had been expecting aliens her entire life. But not like this. The 42-year-old neurophysicist stood in the underground laboratory of DRPA's most classified facility, watching as screens displayed satellite imagery of the massive alien fleet in Earth orbit. Her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted her glasses. Maya, they're mobilizing. Multiple objects descending toward major cities. Dr. Ramirez, her longtime colleague, pointed to another screen showing heat signatures entering Earth's atmosphere. How long until they reach ground? Maya asked, her voice steadier than she felt. 20 minutes, maybe less. Maya turned toward the center of the laboratory, where her life's work waited. The Neural Interface Array, a revolutionary technology that had been deemed too experimental, too dangerous, too hypothetical to ever see practical application. Until now. Begin final diagnostics, she ordered. And alert the volunteers. It's time. Ramirez's eyes widened. Maya, we haven't completed all the safety protocols. The neural load cold. We don't have time for safety protocols, Carlos. Maya gestured at the screens. Look at what's happening. Our conventional weapons are useless against their technology. The Naiad is our only chance. For 8 years, Maya had led the development of the Neural Interface Array, a quantum-based system that allowed human consciousness to directly interact with technology. The project had begun as research into advanced prosthetics, but evolved when Maya discovered something unexpected. Under specific conditions, human brainwaves could manipulate electronic systems without physical interaction. The world's military powers had been skeptical, but intrigued enough to fund her research. Now, as alien ships descended toward Earth, her theoretical defense system would face its first real test. Get me the Secretary of Defense, Maya instructed a staff member, and begin powering up the quantum core. Captain Elliot Park of the U.S. Air Force 1st Fighter Wing led his squadron of F-35s toward the alien craft, Descending over Washington, D.C., his orders were simple: intercept and assess. Engage only if fired upon. Raptor Squadron, maintain formation, he instructed over the comm. Weapons hot, but hold fire unless I give the order. The alien vessel, sleek, black, roughly the size of an aircraft carrier, continued its steady descent, seemingly unconcerned by the fighter jets approaching. Any response to our communications? Park asked his wingman. Negative, Captain. We're broadcasting on all frequencies. Park swallowed hard. 20 years of military service hadn't prepared him for this. All right, let's try to get their attention. Raptor 2 and 3, execute flyby maneuver. Close enough to be seen, far enough to avoid provocation. 2 jets broke formation, accelerating toward the alien craft. What happened next occurred so quickly that Park's mind struggled to process it. A pulse of energy, not a beam, not a missile, just a ripple in the air, emanated from the alien ship. Both F-35s simply disintegrated. No explosion, no debris, just gone. Evasive maneuvers, Park shouted, banking his aircraft sharply. But it was too late. The pulse expanded outward, and Park felt his controls go dead. Every electronic system in his aircraft shut down simultaneously. As his F-35 began its powerless descent toward the ground below, Park had just enough time to eject before the aircraft plummeted. Suspended beneath his parachute, he watched in horror as the alien vessel continued its unhurried approach toward the capital, impervious to humanity's best defenses. Similar scenes played out across the globe. In Moscow, Beijing, London, Tokyo, military responses proved futile against the advanced technology of the invaders. The alien vessels hovered over major cities, emanating energy pulses that disabled electronic systems and neutralized weapon platforms without firing a single conventional shot. Global communications networks faltered as satellite systems went offline. Power grids failed in cascading blackouts across continents. Military command centers found themselves isolated, unable to coordinate a cohesive response. Within 6 hours of their arrival, the alien forces had effectively neutralized Earth's conventional defensive capabilities without engaging in direct combat. Cities fell dark. Governments lost contact with their military assets. Panic spread through populations already terrified by the presence of extraterrestrial craft in their skies. In the White House Situation Room, the President of the United States sat with his national security team, illuminated only by emergency lighting. "What options do we have left?" he asked, voice hoarse from hours of crisis management. The Secretary of Defense looked grim. Conventional military response has proven ineffective. Nuclear options would cause catastrophic civilian casualties with no guarantee of success against their technology. "There is one possibility, Mr. President," said a voice from the video screen, one of the few communication links still functioning. All eyes turned to see Dr. Maya Vega, her face illuminated by the blue glow of equipment behind her. "Dr. Vega, this had better be good," the President said. "Sir, for the past 8 years, my team has been developing a defense system specifically designed for asymmetric warfare against technologically superior opponents. We call it the Neural Interface Array. In English, Doctor, it's a system that allows human operators to directly interface with technology, any technology, through quantum entanglement, including, theoretically, alien technology." The room fell silent. "You're saying you can hack their ships? With people's minds?" the Secretary of Defense asked incredulously. "Not exactly hacking, sir. It's more direct neural manipulation of their systems. And yes, we believe it's possible." The President leaned forward. "And this system is operational?" "It is. We have 12 trained operators ready. But I should warn you, this is experimental technology. The risks to the operators are significant. Doctor, we're facing planetary subjugation. I think we're past worrying about experimental risks. How quickly can you deploy?" Maya took a deep breath. "We're initializing now. If it works, you should see the first effects within the hour. In the DARPA Deep Facility, 12 volunteers lay in specialized interface chambers surrounding a pulsing quantum core. Each volunteer, scientists, military specialists, and engineers who had trained for years on the system, wore a neural interface helmet connected to the central processor. Maya stood at the control station, monitoring their vital signs and neural patterns. Neural synchronization at 92% and rising, reported Dr. Ramirez. Quantum core stable at full power. Maya nodded. Begin the interface sequence. As the quantum core's hum increased in pitch, the volunteers' brainwave patterns displayed on monitors began to synchronize with each other and with the pulsing energy of the core. Neural load increasing, warned a technician, approaching safety thresholds. Maintain the connection, Maya ordered. They know what they signed up for. On the monitors, strange patterns began to appear, code structures unlike any human programming language, flowing across screens in complex, shifting sequences. Is that? Ramirez began. Yes, Maya whispered. They've made contact with the alien systems. Aboard the Meridian flagship, alarms blared without warning. Admiral, Commander Vex rushed onto the command deck. We're experiencing system anomalies across the fleet. Tezak turned from the tactical display. Explain. Navigation systems are malfunctioning. Weapons platforms powering down without authorization. Communication between vessels is degrading. Source: unknown. Admiral, our security protocols detect no intrusion, yet systems are being manipulated. Tezak's 4 eyes narrowed. The humans? Impossible. Their technology is primitive. Nevertheless, Admiral, something is interfering with our systems. First-wave vessels report losing control of descent vectors. Some are being forced off course. For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Tezak felt uncertainty. The Meridian Collective had encountered resistance before, even clever tactics from less advanced civilizations. But nothing like this, invisible, untraceable interference that bypassed their most sophisticated security measures. Recall the first wave, he ordered. Full diagnostic on all systems. Admiral, the planetary subjugation protocol can resume once we understand what we're facing. Tezak interrupted. I will not risk the fleet against an unknown defensive capability. As his orders transmitted, Tezak stared at the view screen, regarding Earth with newfound wariness. Perhaps this primitive world harbored secrets not revealed by their initial scans. Across Earth, the effects of the neural interface array manifested in surprising ways. Alien vessels that had been descending towards cities suddenly veered off course, some accelerating back toward space, others hovering immobile, their systems locked. Communication networks previously disabled by the aliens spontaneously reactivated. Power returned to cities that had gone dark. In the DARPA facility, Maya watched the neural interfaces work their miracle. Through quantum entanglement, the human operators weren't merely accessing the alien technology. They were becoming part of it, their consciousness expanding beyond their physical forms to manipulate systems they'd never encountered before. It's working, Ramirez said, disbelief evident in his voice. They're actually controlling the alien technology. Maya nodded, but her expression remained concerned. On the monitors, the operators' vital signs showed increasing stress. Heart rates elevated, brain activity spiking beyond normal parameters. How much longer can they maintain the connection? She asked. At current neural load levels, 20 minutes maximum, before we risk permanent damage. Maya made a difficult decision. Push it to 15, then begin disconnect sequence. Let's see how much we can disrupt before we have to pull them out. As the neural interface array continued its work, the tide of the invasion began to turn. For the first time since the arrival of the alien fleet, humanity had found a way to fight back. On the other side of the planet, as alien craft retreated from Earth's atmosphere, Admiral Tezak ordered a full withdrawal to higher orbit. The Meridian Collective had never encountered anything like this before, and Tezek needed time to analyze what had happened. Unknown to either the humans or the Meridians, the activation of the neural interface array had triggered something unexpected, a cascade effect in the quantum field surrounding Earth. Something dormant in human neurology had awakened, and it was spreading. The first day of Earth's resistance was just beginning. The counterattack and evolution. Admiral Tezek paced the command deck of the inevitable conquest, his exoskeleton clicking against the polished floor with each agitated step. 3 full cycles had passed since the failed first wave, and the situation had only grown more incomprehensible. "Explain it again," he demanded of the science officer. Scientist Nerem manipulated the holographic display, showing neural scans of human subjects. "The interference pattern matches no known technology in our database, Admiral. It appears to be biological in origin." "Biological? You're suggesting their minds are doing this?" "The evidence is difficult to dismiss. Whatever caused our systems to malfunction originated from concentrated locations on the planet's surface, specifically from clusters of human brains exhibiting unusual activity patterns." Commander Vex, who had been analyzing tactical data nearby, joined the conversation. "There is more, Admiral. The phenomenon is spreading." "Spreading? How?" "Our sensors detect similar neural patterns emerging throughout the human population. What began in isolated clusters is now appearing in population centers worldwide. It's as if..." "As if what, Commander?" Vex hesitated. "As if the initial event triggered a dormant capacity within their species." Tezek's breathing apparatus hissed as he processed this information. In 3 centuries of service to the Meridian Collective, he had never encountered anything like this. The Collective's archives contained legends of species with unusual mental abilities, but those were considered myths, not tactical concerns. "What are the strategic implications?" he finally asked. "Unknown, Admiral," Vex admitted. "But the longer we delay, the more time they have to develop whatever capability they've discovered." Tezek made his decision. "Prepare the main fleet. We will overwhelm them with simultaneous strikes across their entire planet. Whatever this ability is, it must have limitations. We will find them." On Earth, Dr. Maya Vega stared at medical scans with a mixture of awe and scientific fascination. The 12 neural operators had recovered from their first interface session, but they had changed in ways she hadn't anticipated. "Their neural architecture has been permanently altered," Dr. Ramirez explained, pointing to the brain scans. "The quantum entanglement didn't just allow them to interface with alien technology. It rewired their brains to maintain that capability even without the array." "And the reports coming in from around the world?" Maya asked. "Similar patterns emerging spontaneously in the general population. It's as if the initial quantum field generated by the array triggered something dormant in human neurology. People with no connection to our project are developing the ability to sense and interact with technology." Maya struggled to comprehend the implications. "What percentage of the population?" "Based on current reports, approximately 3% and rising. The effect appears to be accelerating." A military officer entered the laboratory, saluting crisply. "Dr. Vega, the Joint Chiefs are requesting your presence at the Emergency Council. Global leaders are convening to coordinate our response to the invasion." Maya nodded, gathering her tablet. "Tell them I'm on my way. And Carlos, keep monitoring the spread of these abilities. I think we've stumbled onto something much bigger than we realized." In Geneva, representatives from world governments had assembled in a heavily fortified underground facility. Traditional rivalries and geopolitical tensions had been set aside in the face of extraterrestrial invasion. On large screens, satellite imagery showed the alien fleet regrouping in high Earth orbit. Military leaders from various nations presented status reports on recovery efforts and defensive preparations. When Maya's turn came, she connected her tablet to the main display system. "Ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing is nothing short of an evolutionary leap for our species," she began, showing brain scan comparisons. The neural interface array was designed to allow trained operators to temporarily interact with technology using their minds. What we didn't anticipate was that this ability would become permanent and contagious. Murmurs spread through the assembly. Contagious. The Chinese premier leaned forward. "You mean like a disease?" "More like a catalyst," Maya explained. The quantum field generated by the array appears to have activated dormant neural pathways in the human brain. Pathways that allow direct mental interaction with electronic systems. This activation is spreading exponentially through the population. "Is it dangerous?" asked the Russian president. "Not in the way you're thinking. It doesn't cause illness or physical harm, but it does fundamentally change how those affected interact with technology." The U.S. president spoke next. "Dr. Vega, in simple terms, what does this mean for our defense against the invasion?" Maya took a deep breath. "It means that our best weapon isn't our military technology, but our minds. People developing these abilities can sense alien technology, interface with it, and potentially control it, without any equipment, just with thought." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "We need to coordinate globally," Maya continued. "Identify those developing these abilities, train them quickly, and deploy them strategically when the aliens attack again." "And they will attack again," added the U.S. Secretary of Defense. "Our intelligence suggests they're preparing for a much larger assault." The gathering of world leaders looked at each other, historical enemies now bound by common threat. For the first time in human history, the nations of Earth began planning the truly unified defense. The global response mobilized with unprecedented speed. As reports of emerging neural abilities flooded in from every continent, specialized training centers were established to help people understand and control their new capabilities. In Seoul, a high school teacher discovered she could disable electronic systems with a thought. In Lagos, a taxi driver found he could sense and manipulate communications networks. In Rio de Janeiro, a young programmer realized she could interface with computers without touching them. Each discovery, each new ability, added to humanity's growing arsenal against the alien threat. The very technology that had made Earth vulnerable, its dependence on electronic systems, became its greatest advantage as humans learned to extend their consciousness into those systems. Maya coordinated from the Central Command Center in Geneva, working with scientists worldwide to understand and enhance the spreading neural evolution. The 12 original operators, now fully recovered, became instructors, helping others master abilities they themselves were still discovering. "The aliens are moving," announced a military officer, interrupting a planning session. "Multiple vessels breaking high orbit, approaching atmosphere." Maya moved to the main tactical display. "This is it. The second wave. Alert all defense coordinators. It's time to see what humanity can really do." Admiral Tezak watched as the Meridian fleet deployed in attack formation. This time, there would be no measured approach, no careful subjugation. The unusual resistance from this supposedly primitive world demanded overwhelming force. "All vessels report ready, Admiral," Commander Vex confirmed. "Weapon systems at maximum capacity. Shields reinforced against potential interference." "The strategy?" Tezak inquired. "Simultaneous strikes on all major population centers and military installations. No delay between waves. Maximum technological advantage." Tezak nodded. "Commence the attack." The Meridian vessels descended toward Earth in perfect synchronization. Energy weapons charging, invasion craft prepared for deployment. Whatever strange defense the humans had discovered, it would be overwhelmed by sheer force and technological superiority. Or so Admiral Tezak believed. Across Earth, people with newly awakened neural abilities felt the approach of the alien fleet like a pressure in their minds. In training centers, in homes, in hastily established defense posts, they reached out with their thoughts, seeking the alien technology. Maya monitored the global response from Geneva, watching as thousands of ordinary people became Earth's most effective defense system. On tactical displays, Alien vessels that had been advancing suddenly slowed or veered off course. "It's working," her assistant reported. "Neural interference is affecting 67% of incoming vessels." But the Meridian attack was massive, hundreds of ships descending simultaneously. Even with thousands of humans using their new abilities, some vessels broke through, deploying attack craft and energy weapons against population centers. "They're adapting," Maya observed, watching patterns on the tactical display. "Their systems are changing, becoming more resistant to neural interference." The battle raged across the planet. In some regions, humans successfully repelled the invasion forces. In others, Meridian troops established footholds, their advanced weapons overwhelming conventional defenses. In the skies above major cities, the strangest aerial combat in Earth's history unfolded. Human fighter pilots, many now able to mentally interface with their aircraft, engaged alien vessels in maneuvers that defied traditional physics. Where technology failed, the human mind succeeded, anticipating and countering alien tactics with intuitive speed. Yet for all humanity's unexpected resistance, the sheer technological superiority of the Meridian forces began to tell. Hour by hour, they established control over key strategic locations, their adaptable systems becoming more resistant to neural interference. In the Geneva Command Center, Maya watched with growing concern as the tactical situation deteriorated. "We need something more," she murmured. "Something they won't expect." Her gaze fell on the quantum core they had transported from the original facility, a smaller version of the neural interface array that had started everything. An idea formed, dangerous, untested, but potentially decisive. "I need to speak to the Joint Chiefs immediately," she told her staff, "and prepare the quantum core for maximum output." Admiral Tezek allowed himself a moment of satisfaction as reports of successful landings came in from across the planet. The initial interference had been concerning, but Meridian adaptability was proving superior. The strange mental abilities of the humans were impressive but ultimately limited. "Victory is proceeding as calculated," Admiral Commander Vex reported. "Resistance is weakening in all major theaters." "Excellent. Prepare thee." Tizak's orders were interrupted by a sudden, blinding pain that dropped him to his knees. Around him, the entire command crew similarly collapsed, mandibles clicking in distress. "What is happening?" He managed to gasp through his breathing apparatus. Through watering eyes, he saw the ship's displays showing a massive energy surge emanating from the planet below. Not technological in nature, but something else. Something impossibly powerful. In Geneva, Maya stood before the quantum core as it pulsed with blinding energy. Around her, the 12 original neural operators had linked hands, forming a circle. Their eyes were closed, but their minds were more active than ever before. "Neural synchronization at 100%, reported Dr. Ramirez from behind a protective barrier. "Quantum field expanding." Maya had proposed a desperate gambit. Using the original 12 operators as an amplifier, they would generate a quantum field large enough to encompass the entire planet, temporarily boosting the neural abilities of everyone who had developed them. The risks were enormous. The neural load could permanently damage the operators. The expanded quantum field might have unpredictable effects on Earth's electronic infrastructure. But facing defeat, the world's leaders had unanimously approved the attempt. As the quantum field expanded, a strange sensation swept across the planet. Those with neural abilities felt their capabilities suddenly magnify 100-fold. Those without felt a momentary pressure in their minds, like hearing a sound just beyond the range of perception. And in orbit, aboard every Meridian vessel, alien crews experienced something they had never encountered before: the collective consciousness of humanity, focused into a single, overwhelming force. Admiral Tezek struggled to remain conscious as the mental pressure increased. Around him, the command crew writhed in agony, their exoskeletons clicking against the deck. Through the haze of pain, Tezek realized what was happening. Somehow, the humans had united their mental abilities, creating a psychic assault that bypassed all physical defenses. No shield could block it. No technology could counter it. Admiral Vex managed to communicate through their neural link. Fleet-wide systems failure. Vessels losing orbital stability. Weapon systems deactivating. Tezak fought through the mental fog to issue one final order. Full. Retreat. Abandon. Invasion force. Save. The fleet. As the flagship's engines roared to life, accelerating away from the blue planet that had defied all expectations, Tezak had one clear thought. The Meridian Collective had made a grave miscalculation. Earth wasn't a primitive world ripe for conquest. It was something else entirely. A world where evolution had taken an unexpected turn, creating a species with potential that exceeded even Meridian understanding. And now, that species knew its power. As the massive alien fleet broke orbit, retreating into the darkness of space, celebrations erupted across Earth. The neural amplification field had faded, its temporary boost receding, but its effects remained. The invasion forces left behind were quickly neutralized, their technology now more comprehensible to humans with neural abilities. In Geneva, Maya sat beside the recovery pods where the 12 original operators rested. The neural load had been tremendous, but their vital signs were stabilizing. They would recover, changed but alive. "We did it," Dr. Ramirez said, reviewing data from the event. "But I'm not sure we understand what it is yet." Maya nodded thoughtfully. "This is just the beginning, Carlos. What we've witnessed is nothing less than an evolutionary leap for our species. The ability was always there, dormant in our neural architecture. The quantum field just woke it up. And now we prepare. The Meridians will return eventually, possibly with reinforcements. But next time, we'll be ready." She looked at a global map showing the spread of neural abilities, now accelerated dramatically by the amplification event. "Next time, we'll meet them not just as defenders of Earth, but as equals in the galactic community." As Maya spoke, across the planet, humans were already beginning to explore the full potential of their awakened abilities. The technology left behind by the Meridians was being studied, understood, and improved upon at an astonishing rate. The neural interface that had begun as a defensive mechanism was evolving into something more, a new way of interacting with the universe. In orbit, satellites previously controlled by radio signals now responded to direct mental commands. Transportation systems became more efficient as human operators mentally optimized their function. Medical technology advanced as doctors with neural abilities directly interfaced with diagnostic equipment. Earth was changing, evolving before Maya's eyes. The invasion that had threatened to subjugate humanity had instead catalyzed its next evolutionary step. And somewhere in deep space, Admiral Tezak's fleet limped toward home, carrying news that would send shockwaves through the Meridian Collective. The discovery of a world where technology and biology had found a new balance, where consciousness itself had become the ultimate weapon. Earth would never be the same, and neither would the galaxy.